Hey, Mason here. So just going to talk a little bit about my SSF journey on my Rolling Slam Corrupting Cry Warbringer. So currently I'm level 80. I've got about 500 strength, and I've hit around T11, T10 maps. So I've got some random maps here. It does say I'm doing tier 6, but I've just been doing the highest tier map because my build hasn't had any issues with it. And what I've actually been doing is I've just been doing boss tablets. So Overseer tablets, I think they're called. You put them into every single lost tower, you just rush straight to the boss modes. The boss nodes give you more waystones, which then allows you to repeat this process, and allows you to get a shit ton of maps. So you can see my map sustain has no issues at all. Heaps of maps here. Some random small tablets. Tablet sustain can be a little bit hard, but it's mainly up to RNG. So I won't bore you anymore with in-game. We're going to swap over to POB. Alright, we're now in POB. I'll just talk briefly about some of the skill tree choices, the items I have, and some of the gem choices as well. So to start, I'll just show you the config tab. This is generally used for people to check whether I'm faking damage. The only thing I'll point is the heavily stunned number here. I'm taking this because of the way Rolling Slam works. Rage is 30 here. I have summoned the totem recently. I have walk right 8 times per second. And I'll just show you briefly that in game as well. So just load into my character right now. POB doesn't have this, but because of the Ascendancy node on Warbringer, I can spam my Warcry. And it says here that my cast time is 0.25 per second. So that basically means, it means I can cast 4 times per second. And the keyword recently is 4 seconds. So I'm basically saying I'm casting 8 Warcries in the past 4 seconds, which is 1 Warcry every half a second, which is pretty like what happens when you're walking. And so that's how I'm getting to this config tab on POB, this 8. Everything here is pretty standard. Level 83 enemy because there's no level 84 enemies from what I understand in the game. But I can probably change it, doesn't really make a difference. So, Resolute Technique is mandatory for early game. Based on my Gemling, I had a look at my Gemling and POB calculations. You need 1.5 to 1.6k accuracy to get 100% crit hit chance against level 83 mobs. So this can be achieved with about 400-500 accuracy roll on jewelry. I'll change this to like 400 accuracy roll on jewelry. You basically need 500 accuracy, and you need precision in your weapon set aura. If you don't have the spirit, you can put it into your weapon set aura, your weapon set 2 aura, and that will snapshot with your totem damage. And I'll show you briefly that as well. So you see my berserk here. It's only for weapon set 2, and I can just put in the precision gem into this, and it will give me accuracy. But yeah, so Resolute Technique, in case you don't know, is this node here. You can't crit, but your hits can't be evaded. There is some anti-synergy because I'm running an Omen Scepter that I just picked off the floor. Omen Scepter gives crit, I can't crit, so it actually doesn't matter what scepter you're running. Just run a scepter that gives you good amount of spirit, that's all. But yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about the next part. Maybe something to do with main and blind to reduce enemy evasion, so you don't need as much accuracy, but I'll probably look into that. Advantages of Warbringer versus Gemling. So Warbringer has extremely good rage uptime. Just gonna hop in game again quickly to show you. Infernal Rage here. Can spam it, no cooldown. Infernal Rage is attached to Raging Cry. It grants you rage when you click it. And you walk up to a boss, you spam it, you get to 30 rage instantly, your rage starts dropping, you press it again, you go back to full. Extremely good rage uptime. It's basically 100% rage uptime. Warbringer also has very good clear with the Corrupting Cry. The corpse pops from the Ascendancy node, so this one in particular here, basically carry your clear. And it's very good in terms of clear. And I think Heralds will get nerfed, so the Magma Barrier setup on the Gemling might get nerfed. And also Magma Barrier requires a really high investment in gem levels to actually have it do good damage. And I'm playing SSF, so I don't really have access to just buy a gem level mace. Warbringer is pretty tanky after getting your 4th Ascendancy. You really need Total Charm. Without Total Charm, you can die randomly to on hits like AoEs and explosions. So be very careful about that. Relatively squishy with my current setup. 2.8k life. It says 2.5, but in game I've got 2.8. Want some more life, but it's just kind of SSF, right? I have to just keep gearing. So I'll talk a little bit about this later, but I'll hop into the skill tree quickly. So, Ascendancy node, taking the Great Howl and the Warcaller's Bellow for clear, and I want to take the Renlin's Trailing and the Total Charm for block. Why Renlin's Trailing? Don't have a choice. Total Charm's really good, but I've seen setups running Jade Heritage, Anvil's Weight, but I don't really think they're very good because they're not very tanky. And the issue with Warbringer is you can't stack that much HP because Well, you're not playing Gemling and you don't have the insane Gemling node, this one here. So it's like, well, how else can we get tanky? Total Charm is the answer to that. In terms of skill tree, red is for weapon set 1, green is for weapon set 2, extremely standard. Taking just like block chance in the weapon set 1. I'll just point out that we are taking this node here, increased damage per 1% chance to block. We are taking increased damage per 1% chance to block. This is damage that's needed on the Corrupting Cry, because Corrupting Cry has a very bad scaling vectors. So the one thing that Corrupting Cry scales off is increased physical damage. We're taking this one here. It gives increased physical damage. We're taking this one here. It also gives increased physical damage. It also scales off just pure increased damage. So these node, and then this node up here. There's another increased physical damage here, but it gives you 5% reduced max life. The leash is useless, so I don't think this node is very worth it very much. But yeah. So in terms of everything else, it's pretty standard. Giant's Blood for two-handed maces. Resolute Technique for accuracy on totems. We're taking all the Warcry nodes, so Cacophony that increases the damage of Corrupting Blood. Urgent Call makes it so that you recover life when you Warcry, so you're constantly spamming that, you're constantly healing. Block node here. Damage node here. Increases Corrupting Blood damage. This node here is in your main skill tree, not your weapon sets, because this also applies to your totems. So when you're sitting there Warcrying, your totems will also get the damage buff. I think they will at least. I'm not sure if they snapshot. They might. This one here is just in your first weapon set because that's not needed. And all the block nodes are in your weapon set 1, and all the totem nodes, like this one here, this one here, this one here, and this one here, are in your weapon set 2. This one here is also big damage for your totem. I'll talk briefly about this 3 wheels here. You can see here when I hover over this in POB, it says that I lose 18% damage. 3 points for 18% damage is a lot of damage for point efficiency. 6.3 per point. That's really good. But I was like, why is this so much damage? This doesn't make any sense, right? So I did some maths. Well, I got AI to do the maths for me, and I looked through it. But the TLDR is that each totem attacks once every 2 seconds. One small attack, and then the big rolling slam attack. We want the bleed to get applied on the second attack, the big one. Bleed lasts for 5 seconds. It deals this much damage of the hit damage per second. It's 15%, but there's a increase of magnitude from here, 15% increased magnitude here. So it gives you a little bit more damage. I've used 16%. I think I used 10% increased magnitude, so I actually gave it the wrong calculations. Since the totems attack every 2 seconds, the bleed may be reapplied, which means that the bleed damage might not get its full 5-second duration. But let's just assume that the bleed gets reapplied every 2 seconds. So, adjust the bleed damage. The bleed will do this much damage per second for 2 seconds. This times 2 equals 0.33 damage. That's the bleed damage. Chance to bleed, there's a 48% chance to bleed. How do you calculate this? You take the chance to not bleed, which is 3 totems hitting on their second slam for they're not bleeding, and the bleed chance for them is 20%, 5%, 5%, 10%. That's 20% chance to bleed. So we're doing 20% to not bleed, timesing them together because it's the probability is related to each other because we're only looking for at least one of them to bleed, and you're taking it away from 1, which is the total probability. So it's 1 minus the chance to not bleed for all 3 totems on the second slam. Around 50% chance, so it's actually pretty high. And then you can just times the chance to actually bleed times by the amount of damage done by bleeding, and that's your effective damage increase. So it's around 16% damage. POB says it's 18%, 0.9. POB is probably correct, but it's pretty close to what POB has. So I think that this calculation is actually correct. It's not bugged currently. So that's why I'm taking these 3 nodes here. Extremely efficient on the same node that I'm like looking. I need this node for my weapon set 1. This goes into weapon set 2. It's basically perfect. But that's more or less the chat about Bloodletting. I will talk a little bit about the. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about my plans basically. So over here is my gear. I've pasted this from in-game. I did drop this belt here that gives me strength, but you can just take a rare strength belt. But the idea is that I won't bother with you this. You can just look at this yourself. I will quickly talk about how you set up your DPS. So first things you need to do is click weapon set 1. You need to go to tree, make sure it's on the right tree, make sure you're on the skills. Select this one as active and untick this one for full DPS. This setup will allow you to see what nodes give you Sekhema Cry Corrupting Blood damage. See? 12% Corrupting Blood DPS, you can see here. This one here. 6.9% Corrupting Blood DPS. This one here. 16% full DPS or 16.8% Corrupting Blood DPS, and same for this node up here, 16% DPS. So that's how you see Corrupting Blood's damage. Corrupting Blood doesn't have many scaling vectors. It's just strength and those few nodes on the tree. Which is why we're taking all of them. There are 2 more physical damage nodes here that you could grab that give you a little bit more Corrupting Blood damage. And there's also this node here, but this one's really bad because it says reduce max life, which you don't want. So that's how you set up this. So say I want to swap now. I want to check my totem damage. You go click on the totem link here. So over here, I'm just named it this, but it's the totem link. And then go to items, click on weapon set 2. Now that you've done this, make sure you click full DPS on this totem one and then untick full DPS for this one. Now we can see totem damage. So you can see here, for example, this node here gives me 12% damage. What are some other totem nodes? This one here gives me 20% damage. These nodes here don't actually work. So these 2 nodes here don't work. They give increased damage. They should be giving damage. This one here gives a tiny bit of damage. These ones here don't seem to work. But the idea is that that's how you can kind of see what gives you damage. So this one here gives a lot of damage, so that's why I'm taking it. But the rest of it is just standard totem nodes. There's nothing too special about it. The reason why we don't take this is because this is in our weapon slot 2. There's no shield in that swap. It's 2 maces with melee gems. So this one is +4, this one is +5. So that's why there's none of this stuff. We can't abuse this basically. But yeah, so I'll now talk quickly about loadouts. I have set up a loadout for my plans for level 90. The only thing that's different is there is a anoint on my amulet for parrying emotion, which is this node over here. Block chance and move speed when you block. Since we have high block chance, we'll be doing it a lot. This is not changed. This is also not changed. But I do have the 5 link. This is my planned 5 link, and this is my planned 6 link. So about the 5 link, we're running Splinter here to break physical damage, to break armor, and that's so that we can use scavenged plating, like the actual effect from it to gain armor. Currently, I'm actually not like getting any armor at all. This is a dead aura. It's just sitting here to hold all my 3 supports, basically. But that's the idea. For my totem, we're going to be running, not sure why Splinter was here, but we're going to be running this. So we're going to run Inspiration and Heft. And Inspiration will be my next link, and Heft will be my last link. We can't actually run Brutality, which we normally would, because Brutality is in Corrupting Cry, and there's barely any ways to scale Corrupting Cry, so we kind of need to leave it in here. So that's kind of the plan. The last link for this will be Magnified Effect. But that's I'll just put it in for now, but you don't really need it. It's like quality of life. Or if you don't want to use Splinter, you can use this one first, but then your Scavenging Plating would be useless. Okay. Talk a bit about the skill tree. The skill tree looks a little bit different. So I'll start from the top side over here. This is all the same. This is all the same. There's no changes over here. We're still taking Resolute Technique. That's all the same. We're dropping life nodes here. Actually, it might be easy if I just hit compare. So this shows you what you can take and what you can't take. But it's a pity that the colors are like the same. Okay. Since the colors are the same, I'll just leave it on this. But the idea is that we're taking as much block as possible in this area of the tree. I would take these block nodes here, but there's so much point investment, I don't think it's worth it. But we're also taking a bunch of damage for our totem. So this is the most efficient totem cluster for Rolling Slam at the moment, because of the way this thing works and this thing. The Aftershocks, Dreamcore has tested them. They work with totem slam skills. And then this one here gives you more damage against heavily stunned targets with maces. And Rolling Slam already gives you damage. So you can see here, it says in red text, 50% more damage against heavily stunned enemies. So this is just like another 20% more. It's a lot of damage. Same for here, 40% melee damage against heavily stunned enemies. That's why we're taking these notes here. I'll just show you, if I swap over to here and go to the Rolling Totem, I click full DPS on this one, I untick full DPS on this one, I make sure my weapon set is on weapon set 2, we can have a look at what actually it gives me. So this node here, 12% damage. This node here is 20%. This one here is 20%, 17% damage. These give you a little bit of damage. This node here is not working in POB. It is red. You see the text? It's red. It's not working. This one here, 8% damage. So that's kind of how this works. So, taking Bloodletting here. I think I talked about this already. This is staying. I think it's quite good so far. But yeah, that's more or less it for the tree. It's pretty standard. It's more or less just all these block nodes, all these block nodes. We drop life for more block, these block nodes here. We drop these life nodes here. And we're taking all the block nodes up here. And this allows me to put my block to I need to swap back to weapons at 1. 63%, and that's with Total Charm. So this is when you swap this, what do you call it? You swap to this setup once you get your 4th Ascendancy, because you want to get as much block as possible to make sure that this is useful. And once I get this, I will be target farming for Surveillance. So Surveillance is a extremely strong shield with this. It says -2 maximum block chance, and block chance is lucky. Block chance is lucky text is red right now, so it's not working, but it takes away from my max block chance. So I go from 75%. If I have a low roll, we go to 65%. And you can see I'm at 63%. So all I need is like a few jewels to basically cap my block chance at 65%. And with Surveillance Lucky, I think it pushes you to 84% block chance. So it's extremely good. This is the best in slot shield for this build. And you will have to farm Expedition to get this shield. Basically to optimize this build in SSF, or you can just buy it if you're playing Trade League. But yeah, this setup is currently without the shield, because obviously I don't have it, I need to farm it. But I think 63% block chance is pretty good when you're blocking like everything. AoEs, death explosions, slams. I think it should be fine. So we're going to be trying this and seeing how this goes. But yeah, I will just quickly note that it says that while shield is not raised, so I don't even have the raise shield button bound. You don't want to have it bound because it doesn't work. But yeah, this is, I will include this POB in the description. Feel free to use it. This is this is a planned POB. I have not actually gotten to level 90. My character is level 80, but this is what I'm going to aim for. As a general idea, you just want strength on every single piece of gear that you can get it on. You want life on every single piece of gear that you can get it on, and you want reses, and you want as much armor as you can get. Like it's just like kind of how it goes for for SSF, and you want plus melee skill gems on your weapons. This one has been edited to remove the accuracy rating because it was getting included in the totem DPS calculations. This is local accuracy; it does not affect totems. But yeah, that's why it's red and it's like a giant text on it because I edited the item. So that's it for the part 2 of this journey. Hopefully my rambling was not too long, but I'm gonna basically keep playing, keep doing maps, get some more better gear, get to level 90. Levels give you a lot of damage. That's kind of what I really need. And once I'm level 90, I'm gonna swap over to this setup once I can kill the Zarok or Trial Master to get my 4th Ascendancy. And I'll probably make a video update then with any new changes that I've come up with or any new discoveries I've made. Thanks for watching. If you do want to see more content like this, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm not going to force you guys, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to be making more SSF content for totems. So if you're interested in that stuff, just have a look at my channel. Thanks for watching.
I continue to serve.
I'm ready.
The foe ahead is formidable. Steel yourself. Beware of the burst. Two ancient guardians await you ahead. Be light on your feet.
Now for you!
Strength.
Now for you!
Beware the scorpion's sting.
Must beware of the stinger.
Move!
My dance with death is over.
This was the end of the